sounds from the rhythm underground. Welcome to the We Love Guitar Nerds podcast, your place for all things guitar. We have your interviews, we have your lessons, your boomer discussions, and your verbal rabble-rousings. So please hit subscribe, share, and like to join our constantly growing musical community. Welcome to We Love Guitar Nerds. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Today, we don't have a guitar player. We have a harmonica player. Mr. Dane Paul Russell from the Baltimore, York, Washington, D.C., from that area. Lancaster. We can't forget Lancaster. So, Dane, thanks for doing this. Thanks for telling us your story. Let's talk about your story. Where did this all happen for you? When did you start with your music?
Well, my love for music started since I can remember as a child. Life was pretty much a struggle, having a tumultuous childhood at best. That describes it well. Come from a broken home. My father was a pretty scary man. I had ADD, ADHD as a kid. And back in the 60s and the 70s, if you had ADD, ADHD, you were a bad kid. They didn't know how to deal with it back then.
Yeah. Did they even know what it was called back then?
Well, they said I was hyperactive.
Okay, got it.
And if you just concentrate, you would do blah, blah, blah. You've heard that before, most people, or a lot of people.
Well, we're on the same train there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, therefore, teachers, really didn't have, couldn't deal with me very well. My first teacher used to say, "Don't be a Dane Russell" to the other kids. Mm-hmm. So, that kind of took some wind out of me.
Yeah.
Having said that, so the peers weren't, I had some trouble with peers, bullying and so forth and so on. So my escape was music. Now I didn't play, I guess I started playing music, when I was 9-ish. But before that, I would listen to the radio in York, PA. It's still on there, but it's talk radio now. 910, WSBA 910. Mm-hmm. And they played all the cool music. Yeah. And I remember hearing it through a 2-inch speaker, mm-hmm. with an antenna. Mm-hmm. There was the radios were tiny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where I got most of my music from. That and there was a place called Boys Club Pool in New York, and over the summer I'd get a pass because we weren't rich and they'd give out passes.
All right.
And I'd go over there and listen to music. That was cool.
You were a city kid.
Oh yeah. I was a suburb. It's still the city, mm-hmm. But we were in Fireside.
Okay.
So yes, I was a city kid. Where was I? See, there's the ADD.
So you went to,
I still got it.
The boys club and
was it? Yeah, boys club. So, that was one of the, another one of the fun things is swimming and just being a kid, in either case, I'd listen to music there. And people like the Isley Brothers, the Rolling Stones, Parliament. There's so many to mention that just made me excited about music, and it took me out of the crap that was at the time. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I guess I always loved music, but I didn't get hipped to blues. The movie, and I guess 1967 came out, The Jungle Book.
The Jungle.
And Louis Prima. What's that?
A Disney film, yeah.
Yep. And Louis Prima did a song, what was it? King of the Swingers, or I Want to Be Like You. It's the same song.
Yeah.
And I was hooked to blues. And back then it was swing blues. And of course, I was 7, so I didn't realize the racial inappropriateness of the song. But but back then it was, for me, it was amazing. It was like this song.
Nothing but respect for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just love the song. And of course, I love the movie. I wanted to be Mowgli, be a kid, raised by wolves, or, because anything but, what was going on with me was better, So I enjoyed that. But every person that would come over after I had a little record player that was bought for me. I think I got it for Christmas, and I had my cousin gave me a record box. I'll show it to you. Oh.
You sound like me.
Yeah. Well, I think it was my cousin Kathy gave me this, and it had "It's Your Thing" in it, and there's a bunch of old Beatles songs, and oh my gosh, this must have been my
Mr. Merry Elephant.
Yeah.
Big Bamboo.
Cheech and Chong. That was.
That was the only record my parents forbid us to listen to for whatever reason.
That's funny.
For whatever reason.
Right. That's funny.
Young man, give me that knife.
Yeah. Beach Boys.
Yep, some of my first sounds.
Sonny and Cher, I won that one on WSBA. And I could spend an hour and a half, but yeah, you can see this has been sitting in the garage.
And it's fun. What's fun about that is, like, you've probably, how many places have you moved to in the course of a lifetime?
Well, other than now, I spent 2 years in a home between 73 and 75, but 1, 2, 3, and then there was the Navy. Only about 6 or 7 places. It hasn't been that much now. Before,
but it followed you wherever you went. It's that little box. Well, that little box of records. This
box has followed me since 1966-ish.
Okay.
And then of course I added some records to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I won the top 10 one week on WSBA radio. When you used to dial the phone 764-115, and then you'd hold the second 5 until they said, call in for to win the top 10, and then you let it go, and hopefully who won?
You're the first one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess that was 71, 70 something. Anyway,
were you when you got your with music, your relationship with music, did you start out just singing along with these records?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be Donny Osmond and Michael Jackson. These were 2 kids that were playing music and just,
the Jackson 5 people.
Right.
Michael Jackson.
Yes. And, I just wanted to emulate them or be one of them. One of the kids that were singing and making music and, making $1 million. That was, my fantasies.
Yes.
Tom Jones. Remember Tom Jones?
I do.
And who else? I mean, there was so many people out there. I think at one point they had the, what do you call it? The James Gang show. It didn't last long, but it was a music show.
Not Joe Walsh.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Joe Walsh was in it at that time, but it was the James, that would have been Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
But and you got to remember, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. So music kept me safe. Or in other words, it made me feel okay. I guess when I was 9, I tried to play the drums. My first introduction to an instrument, other than, you know, maracas and simple things, you know, and anything I picked up, I mean, like I could pick up a accordion and pick out a song, you know, Mary Had a Little Lamb, whatever, you know, I could figure it out. And, you know, I always had an ear. I didn't have the ability to learn music. It was very hard for me to learn, you know, oh, this note goes here, this note, you know what I mean?
Reading music.
But, right.
Yeah, you're
hearing it and playing it, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
You know, and that saved me in the sense.
How many harmonica players would you say know how to read music?
It depends which instrument you're talking. There's what's that?
Like what style of harmonica?
Right. Now, I don't know how many diatonic. Here's a diatonic, and I didn't bring up a chromatic. This is a diatonic harmonica.
Yeah.
You can do. The harmonica has 10 holes.
Yep.
In 10 holes, you can breathe out and breathe in.
Yeah.
That's 2 different notes.
Yes.
Right. But here's where it goes crazy. Like 1 hole, I can get 5 notes. Oh, 4 notes. I'm sorry. That's 4 notes. So I guess I got to breathe first. So forth.
You're like the only person I know who can do that.
Oh, there's surprising.
No, you're the person that introduced me that. Oh, you can do that with this, like $40 instrument.
Right. Oh, they're not 40 anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I have enough.
When I started playing, you could get a harp for somewhere between $3 and $5, depends on how you could talk them down.
Yeah.
You know, oh man, I'll buy all my harps here if you give the $3.
Yeah.
You know. And when I first got harps, it was you know, it was when I was in Gettysburg. Let me go back a minute. I tried to learn to play drums.
Yes.
And they drove me nuts because playing drums. Now, see, nowadays, the way I teach harmonica, when I teach, it's bring me your favorite song and we'll find it and put it in, you know, get one in the key that you need. You know what I mean? So you put that song on, you just play it. You know, you don't have to, oh, this note goes here. You just play. You just have fun. That's the first beginning.
Playing
the most important, right?
Is essential. It is not. It is like some people think that playing by ear, like when I'm a little younger than you, but when I was growing up, that was considered cheating.
Oh, playing by ear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I cheated all the time. That didn't stop me from doing it.
Right.
Because that's how I learned how to do what I do.
Right. Now, if they'd have given me a song by, you know, Isley Brothers, you know, Grand Funk Railroad, I liked them when I was a kid. I still like them. Parliament, and said, here, take your drumsticks, take your pad, and do your paradiddles to that song.
Yes.
You know, what happens
every night.
It makes it fun.
I do it every night. I tell my drum students the same.
Right. And
if this is not fun for you, it's your own fault.
Right. In other words, make it.
Turn it on. Turn the stuff on.
Right.
Play along with it.
Right. Definitely.
Get the muscle memory going. Get your movements happening.
Right. I got hip to Kurt Syke. He's
a wonderful educator.
Oh, amazing. And he turned me on to Jamie Abersol.
Yes.
And he has, and they're not as exciting for me, but it helped me, I was learning to do overblows and overdraws. And what happens is when you do that, when you listen to a song and try to play it. Now, see, there's songs that I'm not into per se.
Yes.
But I've learned. For a harmonica player, diatonic harmonica player, The Girl from Ipanema, and I do not like that song per se.
But that's got to be a challenge.
Oh my gosh!
Because it goes in and out of so many different keys.
Like crap. What's that?
It goes in and out of so many different keys.
Right. And then the middle part is the hardest. Da ba da da ba da da da.
Then
it's yeah, and I can do it if I were to practice it for a couple hours. I'd probably be able to do it again. Right now, it would sound horrible. That's another thing you tell somebody, or I would tell somebody, celebrate the mistakes.
Yes.
Because if you've learned a song and all you do is play that song that you play really well, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
So the mistakes, when you make a mistake with music, it means your brain's saying, oh, that doesn't sound right.
Yes.
So you keep trying. And if you make 30 mistakes and then finally
you find 30 ways that don't work.
Right. And then if it comes out good, it's like your brain says, oh, that's the note, and that's how I'm supposed to make my embouchure, or for a bass player.
You were 9 years old when you started with harmonica.
No. I was, let me go back to that quick.
Okay.
I started with the drums and I hated it. There was paradiddle, Anyway, then, I wanted to play the trumpet. I mean, not the trumpet. I wanted to play the saxophone. They gave me a clarinet. Said, well, you need to learn to play the clarinet before you play the saxophone. I'm like, I'm a 9-year-old. I want to play saxophone. I don't want to play clarinet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it. There wasn't any trumpet players in Kiss, so I wasn't about having it.
Right. Well,
you like what you like when I was 9 years old. That was what it was.
Right. Well, when I that's the third instrument they gave me was the what's it called, trumpet. Now I could kind of, Mr. Oberdick from Devers School, he said, you have the best tone I've ever heard from a beginner, which, whoa, that was cool. So I guess I stuck with it a little longer than, in fact, I still have the trumpet. It's actually cornet downstairs somewhere. And I sat on it once. the horn goes like that. It's funny.
Dizzy Gillespie.
But yeah. It's funny, but I started playing the trumpet and I would just listen to what the guy next to me was playing. In fact, one of the few times my father was like excited about me was, I played the trumpet and I held the book open and it was the song Tisket a Tasket, which, I wasn't into that song, but, and I don't remember anything. Right. And I played that song. My dad was like, yay, you read that? I lied. I said, yeah, I read that. But if somebody next to me would play something, I just hear it and, come out with it. So I was on the second line for trumpet and, I just listened to what they played. And I wish that, with the trumpet being one of them, that I would have started applying it to music that I liked. And if I'd have done that, I might have been a half decent trumpet player.
I studied trumpet for like 3 months in college. And
cool.
Every time I played it the way they wanted me to, it would give me headaches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But what I did once, I took one of the Abersol play-alongs. And we learned one note at a time, going from this note to that note, going this note to that note. I would put the play along on and B flat blues, and then I would play my notes, and then an hour went by like nothing.
Right, because it was fun.
Yeah, an hour went by like there was no headache.
Right. Oh,
Like
that's cool.
maybe it's because when you're like,
You just relaxed.
yes,
It's
yeah,
just fun.
yep.
After the trumpet, I mean, I played that till I got in junior high school. And then junior high school, I started getting into things that kids shouldn't necessarily get into. I'm a recovering person now, and I don't share, what fellowship and that, because it's, it's about anonymity, and it's about, respecting that if I go out act like a fool, well, somebody might think, well, the program is wrong, or so
How long have you been sober?
Been 38 years.
38 years.
Yes. And so my point is, and I come from a long line of non-recovering people, and my father actually got into recovery. My grandfather was a bass fiddleist and played with Ozzie Nelson, Harry James. Ozzie Nelson was the Father Knows Best guy. Well, he was a band leader. I'm sorry.
Ozzie Nelson. What was that? Father Knows Best.
Father Knows Best.
Okay.
Yep. And
Ricky Nelson. Ricky Nelson's dad.
Yeah, I believe so. That's another story.
Ozzie and Harriet.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Not Father's. Anyway, he also played with one of the Dorsey brothers. I'm not sure which one. And geez, I have a picture of him downstairs with some famous New York photographer took the picture, and it's him, his guitarist, and I think his fiddle player. Anyway, they were the Biltmore Boys, and Dick Latone, and he was Buddy Russell. They called him Buddy Russell and the Biltmore Boys. And I'm not, this is, some interesting stuff, but I don't remember everything. If my father was still alive, I'd say, talk to Dad.
So you got a lineage going on.
Definitely. He, oh geez, I lost what.
Okay, so you got into some bad stuff. When did harmonica come?
All right. I guess in 7th or 8th grade, I started smoking things and drinking things, and my second year of 8th grade, I ended up in a home for troubled youth. I spent 2 years there. I guess 8th and 9th grade. My second year 8th. In my only year of 9th, the home actually saved my life in a lot of ways. And I could get into a big thing, but I'm not going to. I traded a guitar. There was a place called Jam Fields. You might remember that. And Jam Fields, it was just like Walmart, but it was back then, in the late 60s, early 70s. I had a $14 guitar, and I traded it for a harmonica and 2 albums. 2 albums were Best of the James Gang, Jay Giles' Ladies Invited.
All right, the Magic Dick.
I don't think Ladies Invited had harmonica on it. I could never hear it.
Magic Dick wasn't with them?
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd have to listen to the album again. Because when I was a kid, I'm like, where's the harmonica? Anyway, I got the harmonica and I started playing, and that was it, man. I read the little pamphlet and read it backwards. There's 2 ways to play a harmonica. Well, there's several ways, but there's 2 ways that I'm going to talk about. One is your mouth's like this. Can you see that? Oh, no, you can't. Your mouth's like this, and your tongue covers 3 holes or 2 holes or 4 holes. Okay. And you have 1 hole open. That's called tongue block.
Okay.
All right. Then there's lip purse, where it's almost like drinking water. Oh, wrong end. You know, you get a single note.
Yeah.
That's tongue block. And that's lip purse. Now, I'm not going to get one's better than the other, this or that, and that's a harmonica player conundrum, because you know some people think, you know how it is. It's like it's, you know,
Can't we
the
do
harmonica.
both?
What's that?
Can't we do both?
You can. I do both.
Okay.
I do both. And actually, there's a U block where some people use their tongue. You know, I couldn't do that. You know, and there's people that play very up and down side. You know what I mean? They and it, whatever works. Bottom line, you know, I'm not one to say my way is the perfect way. It's just, you know, I like tongue block and I like lip purse. Now I figured out that I tongue block on the wrong side, and I figured this out at a harmonica convention.
Like 40 years into playing harmonica.
Oh yeah, it was like 40. Yeah, it was maybe 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I've been doing it wrong all this time.
Yes, but it doesn't matter. So, you know, I mean,
you haven't been doing it wrong. That's what it.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Now, the truth is, tongue blocking left and tongue blocking right, if you want to be, it would be most advantageous to be able to do either at any time you want. So that's something I mean, I can tongue block right, but I tongue block left. No, I need to learn to tongue block right. So anyway, so I traded the harmonica, and like I said, I traded for the harmonica. And I mean, in the beginning, it was like, shut the up, you know, you can put the expletive in there. And sooner or later, people were asking me to play, and that was kind of cool. And when I was at the home, I mean, I said the home saved me in a lot of ways. It gave me an identity. I started weightlifting, and I wrestled. I became a really good wrestler, but they would call me Space Jock because in the morning I'd be in the alley smoking, you know, and at night I'd go smoke and then go to wrestling practice. So it wasn't, you know, I wasn't being my best athlete, does that make sense? But I won 7-1-1 that year in wrestling in 9th grade, and got really strong weightlifting. So what it did is gave me somewhat of an identity, you know, musician / you know, strong guy. And I was never a tough guy. I'm too gentle for that. Like to think I was sometimes, but
did you have a camouflage though?
Oh, you mean
the camouflage, the muscles?
Oh yeah,
the muscles. In other words, the working out.
Right.
People, you know.
Yeah, they
buff. That scares some people away. A lot of people.
Yeah, and they leave me alone until I talk to them for 5 minutes. Like, oh, this guy's cool. He ain't gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, I was never a tough guy. I thought I wanted to be, and being bullied so much, for a minute I was a bully. I did some things that I'm not proud of, but for the most part, I wasn't. You know, I was a gentleman, and I think about those things, and it's things you know, I've made amends for the most part. You know, to those who I could, and making amends is also just
part of your recovery.
Right. It's also being it's part of being a good human being.
I agree.
Trying to be a good human being. And the other part of making amends is, you know, just not acting like a poopy head. I have grandkids now, so poopy head is a
jackass doesn't work.
What's that?
Jackass doesn't work.
Yeah, well, I guess it does. You know, I just try not to be an asshole. Now everybody gets to be an asshole sometimes. Everybody gets their turn. And you can ask my wife; she'll tell you that.
Yes.
But you know, and my kids when they were little, you know, I could yell and scream with the best, but they always knew that, you know, Daddy wasn't going to hurt which is a good thing. And
You started playing with people. What was the first bands you were playing with?
Okay.
Like still in high school?
Yeah, I was still in high school. I got in a band called Free Flight.
Okay.
Which we had two drummers. And I only played a few songs. Man, I can't think of the cat's name. There was a guy named Barry Baker. He was a big guy, and he was the lead singer. But in that band, we only did a few gigs, but I made $17.50 in 1976, and I thought I was rich.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I was the king of the world. And of course, I probably went and bought something I shouldn't have. But $17.50. I was like, I felt like I was the king of the world. I played in that band. There's something else I wanted to. Yeah, I thought I was rich, definitely.
So that was it in high school?
Yeah, I guess I was 16-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe 17. I wrote songs, I have a couple songs that I wrote in the vein of world's going to end, so forth and so on. That was a 16-year-old mind, and
this is right after Vietnam.
Yeah, right after being out in the home, probably a few months, a year after I got out of the home.
Well, the war was still very much a part of the American psyche. War.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's very true. We got out of Vietnam, and when I was 60s, 70s, World War II was still in everybody's memory. Of course, not mine, but my father, my mother, and I mean, she lived through the Depression.
And my mom too.
Yeah. So she could squeeze a penny so hard Lincoln would just cry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. She could make money last, so, and my dad grew up partly in the Depression. So yeah, he was more like, if he had money, he'd spend it. He was kind of more like me. He had a 1964 and a half Mustang in 1964.
Okay.
And he had a plaque that was one of the first 10,000 sold, and he was in the Navy. So what kind of pay we got, or they got,
Not much.
Yeah, no, it would, thank God for our service members. They do a lot of work for not a lot of money. So point being is,
so you're after high school, you go into the armed forces.
Oh no, that was after high school. I did that band Free Flight, and then I graduated high school. I don't know how, but I did. Spent a lot of time in the parking lot at York High doing bad things. Not that that's a theme. I'm just saying that this is how I was. If you're a young person looking at that, stay in school, don't do drugs. And if hopefully
because your story is that you overcame those demons.
Right.
Like as much as anyone in recovery does.
Right. There's
you always have to be humble about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could go use tomorrow, and I don't plan on.
Yeah.
And you never do. People that go out and use never plan on going to use. It happens sometimes. Unfortunately, relapse is a part of recovery, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I got out I stopped doing that band, and then a girlfriend broke up with me after I graduated high school. So I think, cool, I'll go in the Navy. My father was in the Navy,
Yeah.
And then at boot camp, the Navy SEALs came around, and they were, you do a test to go to SEAL training. And it's so many push-ups, so many sit-ups, and you got to swim 500 yards. Well, I swam 500 yards, and the guy behind me was like a half lap or a lap behind me, and he made it. He did his time. And, we ran a mile, so forth and so on. Bottom line, once again, there's my dad's second time. He said, he was excited. I said, I'm going to go to SEAL training. By the time I got to SEAL training, I went to A school. And in A school, I got in trouble. So when I got to SEAL training, they said, no SEAL training. You had a captain's mess. You got in trouble, essentially. So there was no SEAL training. When I was there, I did a lot of playing with, the bands that came through the EM club and so forth and so on. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed
What kind
that.
of music was it?
Everything from blues to, top 40, whatever. A professional doesn't ask somebody, hey, can I play with you? Can I sit in? You don't do that. It's just something you don't do. Well, back then I wasn't professional. I asked everybody.
Yeah.
I'd stand in the audience and play. I'm glad nobody punched me. I was pretty, I was out there with it, and of course, half the time I was lit up. So, it wasn't, I didn't have a conscience per se, about that. But, or I didn't think about this is professional or not. I just did it.
Yeah.
So I did that, and actually I forgot about it. And on Coronado, IM division, interim division, there was my chief. He did some music, and he had a country band, and I fooled around with that for a minute. But by then I had left and went onto a ship, and then came back and got in trouble some more, and then got out of the Navy. Let's see, quick version from I met my wife I knew her from high school, but I met her in 1981. February 14th was our first date. I asked her to marry me on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And we were married August 8th, and everybody thought we were pregnant or something. No. And of course, now we're married 40 years. She has put up with me. So we're married 40 years. Point is all that happened very quickly. And literally 2 years later, 81, we got married. 83, our first daughter was born, and she was like 5'14", and I had been I've been in and out of, recovery, trying to be, clean. And I was in and out. When my daughter was born, though, I had promised myself she'd never see me high. Well, I held her one time, and I felt so bad about it. I always say she's 7 days older than I am. So, because she was born August 15th. I got clean August 22nd, that same time. Okay. So it took me 3 years. When I got clean, I said, I'm not going into bars. I mean, other than like going for, to have dinner, with my wife, and I stayed out of bars and didn't do any of that, but I really wanted to play music. So after 3 years, I went out, and I guess the first band I talked to, once again, I asked if I was still there. Hey man, can I sit in with you? I sat in with a band called the Middleton Brothers. I don't know if you remember.
I remember Stan Middleton.
Stan Middleton, Charlie.
Was there a Mac?
And I forget the bass player's name. I remember what he looked like. He had curly blonde hair. Anyway, very cool people.
Yeah.
Some of the coolest people you ever want to meet.
Really cool. Their music
right.
was cool too.
Oh yeah, Stan had a voice that just kick anybody's butt.
R&B,
Right,
R&B like
right,
rock and R&B kind of.
exactly. And I was just amazed by him, and they let me play, and they were very respectful to me, and they did good for my heart, my self-esteem. That saying, you play great, blah blah blah. So I was, it made me feel really good. And then somewhere and somehow, I think I went and seen James Cotton at the Chameleon, and that's the first place I met people who, that were, they heard me play and thought, oh, you play good. And, I actually did that to James Cotton wanted to play. And he should have punched me in the nose because I'm like playing in front of him, and he's, he was polite and he was gentle and caring, and, he didn't yell at me or nothing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've had people do that to me, and I've pulled them aside and gently said, hey, you wouldn't bring your drum kit and set it up in front of the band and play, would you? No. Well, why do you bring your harmonica and play in front of the band?
Yeah.
So everybody does their moment,
Yeah.
asshole moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably did more than my share. But anyway,
James Cotton at the Chameleon.
Right. And I think I saw him twice. And the first time I saw him, I did the silly stuff. And I met some people there, and they were very, they're, hey, we're doing a band and so forth. And the first band out of recovery was the Mudcats. And they were a rockabilly band, not necessarily what excited me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something, man. I was in a band.
Yeah.
And I got to play all the songs,
Mm-hmm.
so that was cool. And I did a few gigs with them. Then, who was it?
The Bubbas.
Yeah, the Bubbas. But I'm trying to think of the names. He passed on. Guy Debeau, Dragien, Laura, and I'm just going to say her first name because I want to respect her privacy. We called her BB Queen at the time. Now there's somebody else using that moniker, but man, she could sing her butt off. Guy could play guitar like crazy. Dave was the bass player at one point, and I think there was a Woody that was a bass player at one point, and a guy named RJ.
This is all Bubba.
Yeah, this is all the Bubbas.
Okay.
And that's the band I really cut my teeth in. The Chameleon back then was the coolest club in the world. It had a tent, and about this. It had a tent inside, and the stage wasn't big, giant, or anything. But I saw some of the coolest bands, and the Bubbas became to some. In fact, I have a picture somewhere. I didn't prepare very well, did I? I have a picture somewhere of the Bubbas on stage. Having said that, we became, and now there was several house bands, but we became one of the house bands that would open for all the the nationals that he had there. I cannot think.
Who were some of your mentors? Like you mentioned James Cotton.
James Cotton's one of them. Little Walter.
Okay.
I actually, in the Bubbas, my first song that I actually learned, I almost said word for word, note for note, was Off the Wall, Little Walter.
Okay.
The song, The Lovin' Spoonfuls, John Sebastian,
Yes.
Junior. Yeah. I forget the name of the song. It was just, I learned that note for note.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin, Steve Doman, I don't think he'd care if I say his name. He gave me all his blues albums. and that was a few years before. That was when I was like 15, and I listened to Paul Butterfield.
Yes.
Oh geez, Sonny Boy. Right, now there's one or two. There's two of them, I think.
Yeah.
So forth and so on. I mean, there was, and of course, what was also really in my heart. I mean, I love rock and roll, and I love blues, but funk is a big part of what I listen to. You know, you get Graham Central Station.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry Graham, I believe it was.
Yeah.
First started slapping the bass.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some really cool videos on
I know.
YouTube. Oh my God.
He's a mentor of mine. He's
right. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And you know, other instruments, you know, it wasn't just, you know, listening to that. BB King, of course. I'm learning right now, Jaco Pastorius.
Good Lord.
He was one of us. I'm talking about he wasn't, he died not recovering, unfortunately, like many of our heroes. Him and Weather Report did a song, Teen Town.
Yeah.
So right. And his bass line in that song is just amazingly fast. And on the harmonica, I got that down about 80% when I'm practicing it. When I'm not,
you're like,
you know,
this has been something you've been working on for like years, right?
Oh yeah. It's something you just don't give up.
Yeah.
You know, you don't give up.
Tenacity.
Right. And you know, I'll get into it, and I do all right, don't do this. Don't do as I do as I no. Joking. You know, I'll be driving around and I'll play. You know, and I'll listen, and you know, if you want to hate me for that, that's okay. I'm a professional driver. When you're not doing music, a good job to do is be a courier or do Uber. Okay. In the beginning, I worked for Bubba's Breakaway. Okay. You know, and I drove around and I played.
Love their subs back in the 80s.
Oh my gosh, yeah, early 80s, I guess.
On Edgar Street.
Yes, there was one on Edgar Street and one on Route 30.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
Yeah, and great food. I enjoyed it. I don't know I think there's one in Towson still.
Yeah.
But let me see. Yeah. So my point is, you know, I'll drive back and forth to rehearsal when I'm going to rehearsal, and I'll play. You know, I'll play music and learn my music.
One of the things I appreciate about your stuff is you're not just the James Cotton. You've been through that, and you have one foot in that door.
Right.
But you also listen to Maceo Parker.
Oh yeah.
You also listen to you also listen to the good stuff and others like funk and soul and all this. You know, if it's good, it doesn't have to be blues. If it's good, it's good.
No, that's very true. I mean, even songs that I don't particularly like, they expand what I can do.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's just that's a tough song. And
so how did you meet Bobby Parker? How did that come about?
All right, Bobby Parker. It was 1998. I had been doing the Dane Paul Russell band,
of which I auditioned for.
Yes, I forgot about that. And I wasn't quite, even though my name was, I wasn't quite in control.
Yeah.
Yeah, other people controlled it. And I've never been good at organization. The cats that did more control, they were much better at organization than I was, and which is any band I've been into. That's the truth most of the time. I mean, I have put together some bands. I mean, some, you know, shows. You know, like I can't say that out loud, but
Rhythm Disciples.
Yeah, that was you and I.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
We were
Blues
the
meets
house.
funk meets when it all ended. There was
Right.
blues, funk, and Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that was funny. Yes. What was that guitar player's name? He's good, man. He's
Seth.
badass. Seth. That's
Connor.
right. I'm sorry.
Seth Connor.
And Jeffrey.
Trick.
Can I say Jeffrey Trick?
Yeah.
No, I remember his name.
Yeah.
He's one of the coolest people I know.
Yeah.
So calm, and you never feel uncomfortable around him.
Yeah.
Dry.
I like
what's
Jeff.
that?
I like Jeff. He's dry.
His
humor, is it?
Definitely. Dad jokes, but he's not a dad. I don't think. Is he a dad? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we did the Rhythm Disciples. Actually, there was a couple bands before that. Dane Paul Russell band.
Dr. Groove.
That was a very cool band.
With my friend Cindy David and Tommy Leanza.
Yes. Tommy Leanza. Yep.
Yeah.
Lloyd Kennard, Buck Generette,
all right.
Jim, and
how was Buck? How was he to play with?
What's that?
How was Buck to play with?
One of the people that feed my soul, make me feel good about myself. You know what I mean? That's the kind of people
you vibe with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was good word, vibe with. Can I use that?
I'll allow it.
Anyway, Buck is such a gentle man.
Yeah.
Such a gentle man. He was very cool. And we went through, like I said, Lloyd Kennard, and there was so many people that went in and out of that band. But yeah, that was a good band. We even did I think we did some shows with Buddy King from the Magmen.
Mm-hmm.
Through that band. It was a cool band.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot in that band, about this, that, and the other.
For those who don't know, the Magmen were Pennsylvania royalty. We won't even say
right. Right,
were
Magnificent Men. They had things on the charts, didn't they?
Yeah, they were royalty. They were like the greatest of all time, R&B, 60s.
Right.
And everything that. Yeah. So Buck was with them.
Oh no.
Buddy King.
Yeah, Buddy King. But
I saw Buck and Buddy King together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I saw them. It was not probably the Magmen, but it was I know they're friends, or I saw them sing together in the early '90s.
Right. There was another band, and I can't think of that band. We did a show at not the Strand. What's the place up the street? Valencia Ballroom. We did a show there, and I cannot think of the name of the band. Did a show with us, and that was Buck was a part of that band at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of big, as I remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, Buddy King kind of put it together, and we did, they came up and practiced with us, and we did some things together with them. Then Dr. Groove, then here, let me do my notes. There we go. I did Dr. Groove, and when I was Dr. Groove, Del Chords, exactly. Yes. And that was, I think, Buck's claim to fame, per se.
Mm-hmm.
Del Chords.
Mm-hmm.
And we all kind of melded together a little bit here and there. Then I did a band. My first professional recording was with the Badleys.
Okay.
Of course. Right. There was a CD they did before they blew up and got big time. They did I think it's called The Unfortunate Result of Spare Time. Little kid on the stoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. And I did a song, She's the Woman. And yeah, that was cool. And the person that designed the studio was, I think, Northumberland, designed the Electric Ladyland studio. So, I mean, it was a big deal studio. I was,
Yeah. That's wonderful. That I didn't know.
Right. And then my first band that I fronted was the Too Human, Too Human. Now, I didn't name them. I don't know why we were called that. I should have asked.
Who was in the band?
Oh my gosh, dude, I cannot quite remember. I can see their faces. That's horrible. I'm horrible with names. I can see a face after 30 years and go, oh, you're that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But sometimes somebody will tell me their name in the walkway. I'm like, what's his name?
Yeah. Right. I'm the same way though.
Right. That and keys. If somebody doesn't tell me the key, it's like I'll have to noodle to find it. With my C harp. Anyway, so I'm just horrible with that. I have a list of my keys so I don't get messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was backwards, wasn't it? That's funny. Anyway, so I did this Too Human band, and we did a lot of gigs in the area. Man, it was right up off of 30. We did a few gigs there. Our 83 at Leader Sites. What was the name of that place? The Crab Joint of some sort.
Crab Shack. No.
No.
Mr.
Glad
Bill's.
Crab, not the Glad Crab.
Mr. Bill's.
You're right. And I mean, we played, I think, 55 West.
Yeah.
So forth and so on.
This is mid-90s we're talking.
Yes. It was, I guess, 94, 93, 94-ish.
Okay.
And that was cool. I learned a lot playing, with that band about being a front person, how to, get with the crowd. Now, I'm still not, I still have a little social anxiety and probably more than a little. And I'm afraid of, looking silly. So I watch what I say and I try to keep it to a minimum. And you get what I'm saying. I'm sure.
I just make an ass of myself.
Right. I probably should be more.
Somewhere in the middle.
What's that?
Somewhere in the middle.
Right. That's
when I'm at my best. When I'm at my best, it's just fun, and I don't worry about it.
Right. Exactly. And that happens. I'd like it to happen more, but it happens, a lot more than it used to.
Yeah.
When I remember when I first started playing out, my wife would come see me. Now she's not a groupie.
Of course.
She ain't gonna come out every gig and so forth and so on. But my wife has supported me from the beginning about playing out and so forth and so on. Buying gear, and you're a musician, and if you are a musician, or the wife or spouse of a musician, you know how much gear costs.
Yeah.
So,
but to her credit, there are some people who are like, okay, so that is something you got to put away, the music end of things.
Oh no, not Nancy and I.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's never been negative about my music. And she's always been supportive of. I mean, I've gone 3 years ago, I was in Dubai on Christmas, and it wasn't like, oh, you're gonna, she was cool. Now, we got to play through the, the Navy guys, or all the armed forces, but it's through Navy Entertainment, and we got to play for a ship. Before you go, it's a ship that isn't a ship on a base that isn't a ship, or isn't a base, so that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, with the Kelly Bell Band, back though to
so we're the 90s, so back to, okay, we had the Dane Paul Russell Band, who you were the lead singer.
Right.
And
Um,
and all right.
well,
And
I
then
said about
you met.
the Two Human band. That's the first. I was a lead singer,
Mm-hmm.
and that was cool. Then, like from '94 to '97, I played with the Howlers. Gary Harrington, he won't mind. Dave Snyder.
Most
Um,
people won't mind, Dane.
well, I got to
It was a
respect
good. It
people.
was a good time.
Right,
They
right.
like to be. They like to be acknowledged that we shared space and it was a good time.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
And that was the first album I was on. Every song was, the Howlers, trying too hard to relate. Man, I have the CD somewhere, and I forgot the name. Trying really hard to relax. That was a good name.
Okay.
And that
Gary
was a lot of
Harrington.
fun. Was it Gary Harrington? Yep. Dave Snyder. I'm horrible. Vinnie Hunter played bass,
All right.
but we had several bass players.
The
And
coolest Harrisburg
what's that?
back in the day was like the coolest guy in Harrisburg. I don't know what he's
Who's
doing.
that?
Vinnie Hunter. I'm sure
Oh yeah, yeah.
he's still
Bass,
around, but I haven't seen him in years.
right. And man, this is horrible, and I'm sorry, dude, but I can't remember the drummer. And I just talked about him today. I talked to Gary today, and I remember. I can see his face. That's horrible. Anyway, played with them. It was cool because we did Monday Blues in Harrisburg, and on Monday Blues we'd go on the radio in the morning before the show, and it was just so much fun, going on the radio, talking to the Coffee in the Jammer.
Yep.
And it was a lot of fun. Then I guess I missed one. Did two shows with Bo Diddley. It's funny how things go full circle because Bobby Parker played with Bo Diddley, and if you go on and look for Ed Sullivan show, and I think it was 59ish, whatever. Bo Diddley's thing on
Dale Wise,
huh?
the drummer Dale Wise.
Oh no, he didn't.
Okay.
He wasn't in the Howlers.
Okay.
Anyway, if you go back and look on YouTube for Bo Diddley,
Mm-hmm.
on Ed Sullivan, you'll see Bobby Parker in the back playing guitar for him.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let's talk about Bobby.
Cool. Yeah.
Bobby is like for a lot of my listeners. Bobby Parker is like first generation rocker. He had a sweet soul kind of thing going on in the rocking and soul in the 50s. He was there when the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly went down, and he inspired the Beatles. He inspired Eric Clapton. He inspired Santana. Inspired a lot of people, but he's largely unknown by a lot of people. So you started playing with him.
Yeah, 19. I was doing the Dane Paul Russell band, and towards the end of that, I kind of got, I got a phone call from somebody, and they said it's in the city paper. This cat Bobby Parker wants a harp player who can play horn lines, and I answered the ad. I called him. He said, "Yeah, we play, we tour, blah blah blah." And I went to try out for him, and he hired me. So at the time, he wanted me to do horn lines, and he had two horn players. And basically, that was my job, is learning those horn lines. And what's funny is Bobby's voice. Now I wear earplugs anyway, normally, but I showed up. I went in to Bobby's, and we're sitting there, and he sang so loud I had to put my earplugs in. That's how strong his voice was. His voice was like Oh my gosh. It was crazy big, you know. And his voice is, you know, he's not a baritone.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever get a chance, if you know
Yeah.
you're a listener now, listening to this, go punch in Bobby Parker. Carlos Santana went to see him in Mexico City. His father took him, and that inspired Carlos Santana to play the guitar.
Hmm.
Um,
So some of Bobby Parker's earliest hits were like "Watch Your Step."
right, "Watch Your Step" I think was '59, and you know there's other cats. Andrew Medulla, the bass player for Bobby, for many years, knows the history much better than I do, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
What were we saying? I'm sorry.
"Watch Your Step." Bobby
Oh
Parker,
yeah,
some of his earliest hits. These are the ones
right,
that inspired like the Beatles, and when the Beatles were
right,
coming up and they're shaping their sound, Bobby is
right,
one of those guys that had the put the riffs. They took some of the sweetness away from the Beatles. They made the
right,
Beatles a little more rocking.
right. His riffs, I think he used um Bobby was inspired by other music that did kind of that
Hmm.
um
Got jump
thing, but
blues,
right,
a lot of
right,
the jump blues and soul and T-Bone Walker.
right. Um anyway, Bobby was inspired by other songs that he made that riff from Watch Your Step. Bobby got um a lot of people borrowed his music, you
Yes.
know, and didn't pay him anything.
Hmm.
He was very frustrated about that. And not to put a negative light on things, just that's the way it was.
Yeah.
Um, you said, all right, history. He won a um, guitar, um, he won a guitar contest. He played,
Okay.
and at 15, he went on the road with the Charms.
Okay.
He ended up with, I guess at one point at the Apollo Theater, part of the house band,
Hmm.
with Paul Hucklebuck Smith. Um, I think I got the name right.
Hmm.
And he was with Chubby Checker and Chuck Berry on the bus when the plane went down,
Yeah.
the Big Bopper and such.
Yeah. Yeah. Richie Valens and Buddy Holly.
Right,
He was on that
right.
tour with him.
He was on that tour, and he had some posters, which I wish I'd at least got pictures of those posters. Excuse me. So I mean, he had stories, man, of, I mean, the old South. They were taking their bus and they got broke down, and the sheriff come by and was being very disrespectful and made Chuck Berry come out and play some music. This was one of Bobby's stories. And when he did that, Chuck Berry played music. Then the sheriff was, you know, nice to him, but you know, that
This
was
is
not
kind of the history. The history of rock and roll and the blues is the history of America.
right, right,
The
exactly.
good, the bad, and
Right, right.
yeah. So
But there's a song, I Got What It Takes, and I can't remember the guy's name that first he did it in
mhm.
1957 on, I think it's
Merv or
Marv Johnson.
yeah.
And then I think it got sold to Marv Johnson, and Marv Johnson took it, and Bobby didn't get paid a penny.
Mhm.
And you know, that happened to Bobby a lot. I mean, that's the negative stuff that happened to Bobby.
Mhm.
Having said that, he landed in DC. 98, I got to play with him. I started playing with him. I think the first gig we did, and this is to express how Bobby was, the first gig I did with him, you know, a big gig, would have been at um, Charlotte Blues Fest. We went to Charlotte Blues Fest, and there's a lot of bands, and this was like a second or third floor, like podium kind of thing. You'd walk up and, carry your stuff up. We had to carry all our stuff up. It was like 35 degrees. It was October. It was supposed to be like 70 or something, Charlotte, at least 60. Well, there was nobody there. Bobby played that show like it was a sold out arena, teaching me, it doesn't matter. And I always knew that if I play for 5 people, I got to give them the same show.
Yes.
But Bobby played that. There was 30 people there. He was walking around. He walked down the thing, walking around on tables, playing his guitar riffs or playing his guitar. And it was just like there was 30,000 people there.
Yeah.
Now with Bobby, I got to do some amazing things. There's too many to talk about, but all of them. But I got to do Montreux Jazz Fest in 2004. That was with Carlos Santana and Bobby. Also on that show was Carlos brought us to Montreux. That's Montreux, Switzerland. In fact, it was funny because always the song by
Deep Purple.
I thought it was
Water.
Yeah, the late. I thought it. I don't know why the late LATE Geneva shoreline. I'm like, why would they say that? Is that a longitude or latitude statement? And then I get to Lake Geneva and I look at Lake Geneva, and I'm like, oh, Lake Geneva shoreline. It dawned on me. But did that with Carlos Santana, and that was the coolest. To date, that was the coolest recording. Somebody talked to me about this the other day. We were talking about it, and there was boom cameras, people sitting on the boom, and they're coming up.
That's what you share with your grandchildren when you want to know what Grandpa did. This is
yeah.
I've seen yes.
And we did Montreal Jazz Fest. Montreal Jazz Fest, there was, I think, 100,000 people in attendance. Now, we didn't play to 100,000 people. We played to lots, but I can't add 10, 20,000 people. It seemed like it was a sea of people. We played Chicago Blues Fest. Excuse me. And obviously that's one of the biggest in the world.
So Bobby's music is a part, it's like he has the riffs and the rocking, but he wanted you to play horn parts.
Exactly.
Okay, so you were the right guy for that.
Yeah, thank you.
You were the right guy for that gig.
Right, I really enjoyed it too. Let me rephrase that. I love playing.
Yeah, I would imagine you hate being boxed in. He let you stretch.
Oh, Bobby let me stretch.
Yeah,
definitely. But I love playing with a horn player that can play with me. Yeah. And I hear it. I don't, like I said, I don't read it.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing the same. We'll be doing unison, and I'll jump up to another
octave,
or not octave, but another. I'll do a third or a seventh or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Chord tones.
Right.
Yeah. Harmonize.
And he pretty much, he taught me that. He taught me all his horn lines, or told me what to play, told me when to shut up, which was fine. And he liked me to be right.
That is part of it. What not to play.
Right. He taught me to be he taught me to play, not taught me, I knew how to do trills, but he loved me doing trills, which is basically the chord. So in either case with Bobby, we did Arkansas Blues and Heritage Fest. That was pretty cool. That was King Biscuit. And then they changed the name, and I think it's back to King Biscuit. We played with, oh my gosh, Chuck Brown. that was pretty amazing. There's some video out on YouTube. Stacy Brooks, I think, put that out, and you can see us doing a show.
Yeah.
Go. So, yeah, Bobby really made my playing so much better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it took me from, you know, it just taught me. I never really played where I had to be a part of something. I just play around. Instead of playing around, I had to do horn lines. Some of our horn lines weren't real easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So from Bobby, you played with Bobby until you were with him.
He died on October 31st, 2013. Okay. Which his death day's coming up, or the day past is coming up. Sunday. Geez. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Miss you, brother. Anyway, after I stopped playing with Bobby, one of my favorite things is, even though I played to many people, we used to play smaller clubs, and I love when the crowd's right there.
Got a Madam's organ and all that.
Madam's organ. Yeah, we had a monthly gig there, and like I said, every month we were there, and it was amazing. It was just like crowd right there, man. It was like, just a sense of excitement. I'd get home at 5:30 in the morning, but it was like,
you can't sleep.
Beautiful. Right. I get home and have to watch TV for an hour.
Yeah.
Till I could fall asleep. But it was amazing. After Bobby died, a year or so went by, and then Kelly Bell invited me, hey, you want to do some gigs? And so I kind of said, yeah, I was kind of waiting for you to ask. I started playing with Kelly Bell, and and that's a whole different type of band too, because you got 7 people in that band.
Yeah.
And you have to be where you are,
well, some of the lessons you learn with Bobby is know your part within the system.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people might say I play too much during. Well, see, I'll play in and out of the singers when they're playing. Mm-hmm. I don't step on them, but most of the time. Sometimes everybody screws up, but with Kelly, I'm in there all the time. I may not be doing a lead, but I'm always
you're an ensemble player some of the time.
Yeah, they want me slamming all the time, to some degree. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm not supposed to be there. Yeah. But it's funny because I feel, I'm right there when I need to be. It makes me feel good to be, to be able to play, not step on the singer, not step on somebody doing their, lead, and having a conversation. And Bobby taught me that. And then coming into the Kelly Bell band, I'm learning that even more. Mm-hmm. Where to play, where not to play. And that's for you, learning to play. Knowing when to shut up, when there should be space, is really important. The space is as important as the playing. The absence of notes is as important as the playing. Yes. Having said that, knowing where to play is really important. Mm-hmm. Playing with the Kelly Bell band, it's
that's a lot of fun. Watch you
definitely.
Guys. I've been in the audience some of the times. Like Fells Point was an Arts Fest.
There was I know there was 20,000 people there.
That was wonderful.
Right. There was it was funny. We were doing the waving thing, where the crowd's supposed to wave. Well, they were waving back an eighth of a mile, a quarter of a mile back. Mm. People were waving. So they were into it. And that band is an extremely fun band.
How does Kelly? How does Kelly calls him his band like Fat Blues, PHAT?
Yeah, Fat Blues.
And basically it's funky and bluesy and fun.
Yeah, man, I wish I should have wrote that down.
I don't know what it is. Is that
He
an
has
acronym?
yeah, no, he has a whole thing he says in the beginning. This is terrible, and I can't get to it right now. It's like they started as a Bo Diddley backup band, and that's one of the I don't want to waste time thinking about like Bo Diddley meets Aretha Franklin meets Bob Marley. I mean,
it's a mixture of all this stuff.
Right. It's a mixture, but it mixes so well everything that comes out. I mean,
for me that's the best kind of music, and I think you know that.
Right now,
mixtures of things.
Right, it's basically an all original band, and we'll do a medley of we do FBI, and that's a bit of a medley of other stuff, but it kind of nails the end of the night. Sometimes it's very cool. This is the most organized band I've ever been in. Something when I do the Dane Paul Russell band again, I need to hire people. I'm not the organizer. I'm the player.
Yeah.
And with the Kelly Bell band, you know where to be, what time to be there. You know what your job is. Everybody knows what their job is. And I mean, that's the business end. He has people booking him. He has people putting it on the calendar, where to go, what to do. And it makes it, that kind of thing, in part, makes it very cool to play with Kelly Bell. The biggest, most important thing, every person in that band is an amazing musician. Our drummer went to Berkeley. Now, if I start thinking about everything I want to say, I'm going to take you to China to get back to Lancaster. But every player in that band, and that I've ever known, is an amazing musician.
Yeah.
We
ensemble players.
Right.
They listen.
Yeah, they know they know where they should be and what to do when they should be there. And I love every one of them. There's not a lot of turnover. We talked about that earlier. I think 2 people have left the band over the last since I've been with them. We got a new bass player, and one of the singers left, and we got a new singer, a female singer. She's the first female singer in the band.
I saw that.
The touring band, and she just name's Taylor Zimmerman. Sings her ass off. Can I say ass? No. Sings her butt off. She's great. Our bass player Frankie Hernandez. I mean, he sings and plays. He's just there, man. He's never not there, and I mean that musically. John Buell, our drummer, he's just he's a cat that he's like 2 brains. He can be Mr. Organizational. He can also be Mr. Musician.
Yeah.
So, he's the producer of and I'm going to say this wrong probably, PMT, I forget. Him and Kelly do a show Monday through Friday. Look it up online, WPMD, PMT. Anyway, he's the producer for that.
Should be noted
Ryan
that
Fowler.
all of Kelly Bell's, or several of Kelly Bell's music can be found. I guess you can get it on CD. It was also an Apple.
Yeah.
Music.
CD. I think CD Baby has them.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Music, Spotify, all those things.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you can get it anywhere. YouTube, there's videos on YouTube that you can find of us.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, Ryan Fowler. It's funny. I want to do a little video. People say, "Oh, I can't play guitar because I have fat fingers." He has 5 sausages on each hand.
Yeah.
And you've heard him play. He plays just an amazing guitar. He's just, and also he's an amazing. He has a guitar shop, and just I can't believe with those fingers he can play what he plays. Because it's not he's got to be one of the best guitar players I've and eclectic, very eclectic. And
all these guys, is that the common denominator among the Kelly Bell, the eclectic?
Right. Eric Robinson, he's played everything, and it's funny, you can say a song to this band and not necessarily me, and they'll know the song. Somebody can start the song. It doesn't matter what song it is, almost. Yeah. Somebody, they can play anything. But we do originals. Yeah. Who else? And of course Kelly is as well as being a badass singer and badass percussionist,
front person too.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. His fronting abilities, I want to learn a thing or two from him, because I'm not a super front man. I can sing and everything, but doing that.
So your next steps. Let's talk about your next steps.
Okay. Let me finish something quick. I love every one of them. They're very cool. I sometimes we'll fight like cats and dogs, not physically.
Yeah.
Well, there's a sister. There's a Taylor's our little sister now. We can't just say brothers.
Yeah, brothers and
siblings. Yeah, I got to remind myself to say that.
Yeah.
So there's a sister involved, and we'll fight like brothers and sisters, and again, not physically, but then at the end of the night we love each other, and again, not physically, but it's a great band to play with. The 26th, we play the Record Theater on the 26th, and that's going to be my last. What's that?
2021 for the people who are watching this.
Yes. That's going to be my last
regular
gig. Yeah,
sure.
And I'm gonna start doing the Dane Paul Russell band again. It's time. And I've loved all the stuff I've done as a sideman, but it's time to be a front man again. And if I do 10 gigs a year, 100, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'll still play with Kelly Bell and occasionally other bands, and I'm excited about all that. That's I gotta find the right people to put me in the right place. I don't mind paying people if they're doing right. I got to do a CD. I have some songs that I have several songs that I need to put on CD, and make start making things go for me.
Yes, doing the Dane Paul Russell, finding out, going past being a side person.
Right. Support. I gotta say, there's thank yous to make, and I got to thank my family. That's I got 3 kids, a son and 2 daughters. I have 3 grandkids, 2 granddaughters and a grandson. And I have a wife who's stuck with me for 40 years. Without them, things would have been a lot different. Things would have been a lot different. And I'll tell you the truth, I don't want to ever quit music, but I hope I never have to. But number one in my life is family.
It's wonderful.
And that's going to stay that way.
Yeah.
I've never had to not do something though because of family.
Yeah. Thank you, Dane.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. So we're going to talk again.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to talk again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about you. I mean, you have lived the teacher's credo. You're a gentleman, and you've made music better. I'm sure not just around York, but around York, there's people that are learning music and blues in the schools, music in the schools. I'm sorry, I forgot his name the other day. I'm embarrassed. Cal Weary.
Yeah.
And
we were forgetting the fact that we did a couple years back. We did a blues in at Crispus Attucks in York.
Oh yeah, that's right, with the little kids.
You're teaching little kids about the blues and harmonica.
Right.
And it's
right.
like, so.
Did that show up?
It did.
There we go.